Hello and welcome to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Ntanzi, also known as Kwazi Bear on all social media platforms. Do subscribe, be a part of this family, and if you're a returning subby, welcome back, darling. Now guys, as you can tell by the title, we are back with another Senzo Meyiwa Trial update, and I am picking up from Monday right through to today. Last week we ended off with accused number one being on the dock and being led by Ramusipili, and Baloyi was not there. He then returned on Monday, I'm just going to page through my notes, the 12th of February, and we were expecting that Baloyi has been waiting for Ntanzi and he's going to be the one cross-examining, but that wasn't the case. So if you're interested in knowing about what happened in the proceedings, do stay tuned. Let's get into this video.
And I'm bad like the Barbie. I'm a doll, but I still wanna party. Pink felt like I'm ready to bend. I'm a 10, so I pull in a 10. Like Daddy, Stacy, all of the Barbies is pretty. Damn, all of the Barbies is bad.
Okay, so when Sibande began his cross-examination, I was expecting fireworks. I was expecting quite a lot, but I was very much disappointed because most of his questions, it seemed as though the defense had read him very well when he cross-examined Sibiya, because Ramusipili, when he led Ntanzi, he led him in such a way that all the questions that he would ask, or the way in which he asked the questions with Sibiya, all those questions were basically answered in the examination in chief. So his way of questioning for me seemed a little bit off. It seemed like he had run out of questions already on day one, because the only thing that he basically drilled Ntanzi on was the versions that Zulu had basically put before the courts during cross-examination of the other witnesses, for which Ntanzi's response was constantly, I don't want to answer for what Zulu said. I am here, I am understand, I'm under oath, and I want to be questioned basically on the things that I've said to this court. So don't ask me about Zulu. Zulu can speak for himself. Right now I am here and this is what I'm saying. So if you want to cross-examine me, basically he was saying, ask me on the things that I've said now and see my consistency. And indeed Ntanzi was consistent, because every question that came up, he answered it directly. Every answer he came with was on point, no mistakes, nothing. So that was the cross-examination on Monday. Most of the day was basically spent on the version Zulu put was this, what do you say? When Muhane was on the stand, he said this, what do you say? So most of his questions were basically based on that. That was for Monday. It was a long day of cross-examination, if you ask me, for Ntanzi. And the one concern that I had with regards to the proceedings in particular was the interpretation. Now guys, being a person who is Zulu, I fully understand Zulu, and I fully understand English, and I know the right words that you need to use in certain basically translations, and I had a problem with the way that the interpreter was interpreting certain things to Ntanzi. But even so, Ntanzi's answers were still very much on point on Monday. And he was questioned with regards to the type of assault that he endured, and Ntanzi is constantly saying the only type of assault that I got was the tubing, which is the plastic being put over my head, and I did get a few slaps whilst the plastic was over my head on one occasion, and then I got poured with water on one occasion and got electrocuted. He's constant in that, and he remains that Muhane was never a part of any of the assaults. He was there though, but he never laid a hand on him. He never did anything to him. So basically most of the cross-examination on Monday was covering the events of the 16th when Ntanzi was arrested, right through to about the 18th, 19th. On Tuesday, cross-examination continued, and we were then now touching on the other days. But what frustrated me a lot about Sibande is that he kept jumping from one day to the other. I'm so sorry, I got a bit distracted. As I was saying, he kept jumping from one day to the other, which sort of I felt was a trick or a way in which he wanted to confuse the witness. And also another thing, he kept asking the same questions but try to change them up so that he could reach a different outcome. But that was never the case. And Ntanzi was consistent in his answers, even though the questions were tricky and they were asked in a different way. He still maintained that the answer is exactly as he had put it in his examination in chief. So on Tuesday, we continued with the cross-examination, and if I'm being honest, it was basically a repetition of everything that Usibande was saying on Monday. Some of the questions were the questions from Monday, and I felt a bit frustrated on Ntanzi's behalf because why are we repeating the same questions? Get to your point, get to the juicy bits. But the judge allowed it, and I was frustrated also with the defense because the defense was not objecting to the fact that these questions were repetitive. These questions the witness has answered, and they just let everything slide, and they let Ntanzi just basically battle it off by himself. But he did do very, very well. So on Tuesday, cross-examination continued, and most of the stuff towards the end that they were referring to, on Tuesday, okay. Most of the stuff that they were referring to now were the information with regards to the doctor, when he went to the doctor, what happened at the doctor. And again, they were going back and forth to the day in which he went to the doctor, and then to the day that he was arrested, and then to the 18th with the interview in the boardroom. So he really tried to confuse the witness, in my opinion. Towards the end of the day on Tuesday, we had an objection by Umnisi, who picked up on something which was very, very interesting, because he says, on this exhibit that you're questioning this witness about with regards to the day in which he appeared in court, it says that there is a lady who is representing, it's Miss Modibo, who is representing accused 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So who were the other accused when at this particular time the information with regards to the arrest of the other accused was not yet there, and this person had not made his confession implicating the other 4 accused? So basically he was insinuating that this was a cooked record. Sibanda then just says, oh no, there's nothing indicated, there's no names indicated on the other accused, so basically that that means there weren't any other accused, right? And then the judge says, no, you can argue that in arguments at a later stage. And Mnisi was like, I'm prepared to argue this now, because if you say the charge sheet is for Ntanzi, why all of a sudden is there an accused 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Which was a bit dodge. So after Mnisi says he's prepared to argue now, the judge is like, no, we leave it for argument. Basically, if you know about me in this case, there is a live that I join every weekday from 6:30 to about 10 o'clock. We call ourselves the Ghost Nation. It is hosted by the Ghost Lady. We spoke on a very, very important aspect on Wednesday. A lady by the name of EM came to join our group and brought it to our attention that with the issue of Ntanzi being arrested on the 16th, there was a question by Sibande that says, you were arrested on the 16th, you were taken to Pukeng, and there's an OB entry that says you were put in the cells in Pukeng, so and so at this time and this time. And Ntanzi is adamant that he never entered the cells in Pukeng at all. He says everything that happened that day, he went from his place, they went to the police station, he stayed in the car, they went inside the police station, they came back out, and then they made him sign his notice of rights in the car. He never went into the cells. Now, the interesting thing that EM brought up to us is that on the 2nd of November, the proceedings of the day, Mohane, November 2023, Mohane, during his examination in chief, clearly says that when they got to Pukeng, they wrote in the OB books, but they never took him to the cells. I want to insert that clip right over here.
You mentioned that you charged him for possession of ammunition. Was he processed at the cells at Pukeng?
Ya no rile ra mo ngwadisha ka magara ga OB ya zanga tsena le seleng tsa Phuke.
No, we just registered him in the OB, but he didn't go into the cells of Phuke.
You get me? So if Ntanzi has said he never went into the cells, Mohane right here is confirming that very same aspect, which to me then just shows that the police that arrested Ntanzi were doing as they pleased in all of these police stations. And also the entries with regards to him having, no injuries at entry into the cells could be a complete lie. After discussing this on our live, surprise, surprise, on Wednesday, it is the first thing Ramusipile puts on record that on the 2nd of November, Mohane also confirmed that this person never went into the cells. So it's either these people listen to our lives or in our group, we really do discuss some on point topics, okay? And on Wednesday, guys, Sibande continued with cross-examination, repeating the very same questions. I felt like I was sitting in on the same proceedings from Monday right through to Wednesday because the questions were so repetitive and Ntanzi remained so consistent and very firm and very certain of the answers that he was given. We ended the proceedings on Wednesday, waiting for the transcripts from the court in Shabani. So that is how we adjourned on Wednesday. My apologies. Okay, and when the transcripts arrived, they clearly state that Mchiako was there, and Ntanzi still maintains that if he was there, he couldn't have seen him. There was a gentleman there. He doesn't dispute that. He doesn't know who that gentleman was, but according to him, the first time he met Mchiako was definitely on the 24th of June at the Magistrate Cronier's offices. Cross-examination continued yet again on Thursday, officially day number 4 of cross-examination for Ntanzi. However, after lunch, the cross-examination was completed. Ramusipili then starts his re-examination with the short amount of time that we had on Thursday afternoon, and there were a few points that I want to point out to you guys. So Ramusipili then says, on the 22nd of January, during your court appearance, it says that you wanted to terminate the services of Mchiako. You told this to the magistrate. And he says, yes, that is what I said. And then he says, he also said that he wants to open a case, which is very, very important. He says he wants to open a case against Mchiako. And Ramusipili said, okay, what was the reason that you wanted to open a case against Mchiako? So he starts counting. He says, firstly, Mchiako didn't tell the court that I was assaulted. Right? Mchiako never consulted with me at any time. The only time I saw Mchiako was at Magistrate Cronier's offices, and yes, I did see him in court, and I tried to tell the court that I don't want this person anymore, and I was dismissed. But when I got the opportunity, I did then tell them. This person never consulted with me. Thirdly, he lied and said that he was sent by a family member to come and assist me. When I questioned him about which family member, I was given no answers. And the fourth one, I would really like to know, and he says, the fourth one is that he, at some occasions, went to court and told the court that I was sick, and that's the reason why I didn't appear. He lied on my name. And then the next thing is that I would really like to know who paid this person, who paid this Mchiako to come and represent me, because it was definitely not my family, you know. So those are the reasons that I wanted to open a case against him. And basically that was about the end of the day on Thursday. And he also just mentions with regards to the ammunition, when they say they found ammunition at his place, he has children that come to visit him at his place. He doesn't understand, like, how was this ammunition found, because his children always come to visit him, and that's not something that would be there in the presence of his children, right? The only issue that I picked up on Thursday is that there was a question with regards to the 13th of July. Now, on his examination in chief, or in his examination in chief, Ntanzi had said on the 13th of July, he went to Rustenburg Court, and he never entered the courtroom. There was a person who came to him at the car and basically just looked at him from the window and wrote something on a book and then left, which he later found out was the magistrate of that court, only to find that Ntanzi had messed up the dates. That particular incident had taken place on the 22nd of July, and on the 13th of July, he had actually entered the courtroom. And he then says, oh yes, there was a day in which I did enter the courtroom in Rustenburg, but I was there for a very short period of time. I literally walked in and walked out of that particular courtroom. And he says, when I walked in, there was a person standing there, which was said to be the prosecutor, and there was another gentleman. I didn't see him because he was wearing a mask and wearing glasses, and also I walked in and out of that room, so I didn't see him. And if it was Mjiyako that was there, I can still say I did not see him. I could still say that person was not there, because that person never approached me. That's the first thing. He never approached me to talk to me, to consult, to do anything. And secondly, a very important aspect is that the court itself never asked me if this person was actually my representative, for me to actually confirm and say, yes, this is my representative. He can continue doing whatever he's doing there, and I'll then be escorted out. So that was a very important aspect that he raised, that Mjiyako never approached him. Even if he was there, he didn't see him. He didn't approach him. And secondly, the court didn't ask him if this was in fact the person who was representing him. And then today, which is Friday, Ramasipili continues with his re-examination and basically touches on some of the issues that were raised in cross-examination. And after that, we basically are at the end of both of the cases. Ramasipili indicates that there won't be any witnesses for Ntanzi, and we get into the issue of the heads of arguments now. So they say Nisi comes up with basically an objection to say, the OB books, yes, they were laid in court, and we had stated to the state that we basically don't agree with the correctness of these documents. However, they were laid in court. So the judge questions, why is it that you're bringing it up now when both of these cases have been closed? It's either you want to apply for the cases to be reopened so that we can dispute those OB books, and I don't mind doing that. I can reopen the cases and we can go back to the entries in the OB books. So Mgomezulu basically says, no, I'm prepared to argue about the OB entries in our arguments so that we move on swiftly, right? And so Mnisi then basically withdraws that that application. And this is something we did speak about in our group as well, to say the defense, I remember specifically saying, I'm disappointed that Mnisi didn't cross-examine Gininda, because that means he's leaving a door right open for some questions that he would have posed to him and loopholes that he would have picked up, and he didn't do that. So now what does he have to argue with regards to Gininda? But anyway, the judge has then agreed that we adjourn, and the state will then file their arguments on the 23rd of February, which is next week Friday. So they're giving them 5 business days to file those arguments, and then the defense has 5 business days after that. So the defense has until the 1st of March to respond to those arguments, and then we will be back to court on the 4th of March. So we are basically gonna have 2 weeks off of this case. We have adjourned until the 4th of March. And I personally cannot wait for the arguments, guys. It will be lit. I cannot wait for the arguments. I'm very excited about them, and hopefully we will find out whether these confessions will be admissible so that we can go back to the main trial. And this is just my own opinion, and remember, I'm not a legal expert. These confessions cannot be used. They cannot be used. There's so many rights that were violated, even though the defense hasn't really proved that these people were assaulted. We need to keep in mind that the onus is on the state to prove that those assaults did not happen. And there is way too many loopholes in the state's case. We already know Ntanzi didn't bath for several days. We already know Moses Biya reported his assault. So it will be interesting if these confessions are actually used. I will see you guys on the 4th or the week of the 4th when I update you with regards to what happens in that week. And yeah, this is the end of the video. Don't forget to like, don't forget to comment, don't forget to subscribe. And until next time.